and welcome to the very special episode of AceCast. You are listening to the official broadcast and podcast of the Academic Club of English, ACE, held right here at the University Center of Tunisia. Today, I am hosting, and my name is Dr. Dikra Amanouzi, an associate professor at the University Center. Our club's mission, aka ACE mission, has always been to empower students, not just through language, but also through exposure to global ideas and professional excellence. Today's episode exactly that. It's about excellence. We are honored to host a distinguished leader representing a very peak of global success. Originally from Canada, our guest has successfully navigated the complexities of the global energy industry. So, to become the managing director at Total Energies Algeria. In the next hour, we will dive and delve deep into his professional milestone, sharing both the shift from the landscape of the global industry transition and student transition. And most importantly, we're going to ask him to share his valuable insight to our students listening right now. And without further ado, let's begin. Mr. Mufti Zakaria Sheikh, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dikra, for hosting me at the University Center of Tunisia.
You're very welcome. The pleasure is ours. So I would like to start by giving you the floor to introduce yourself to our students in Algeria and precisely the Global South.
Okay, thank you, Dikra. So I'm Mufti Zakaria Sheikh, Managing Director of Total Energy in Algeria. I'm a reservoir engineer by background, and I've been working in the oil and gas industry for now almost 24 years. My career has been split, I would say, into a technical part, where I've spent more than 10 years in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, Congo, and Angola, close to the fields and to the operations. And another part, mainly headquarters and also in Algiers, more in, I would say, business, M&A role and asset management now in Algeria since 3 years.
Yeah, that's really impressive. So let's go back to the original story. All right, so you came from Algeria originally, and you have ascended to the leadership of a multinational corporation, Total Energies in Algeria. Can you talk us through the key academic and professional milestones that you took from the south of Algeria to the global stage?
So I'll just go through my path and also some events that took me to the oil and gas industry that are not necessarily academic, but rather, I would say, personal experience and some exchanges with friends. So I've studied, so my family is basically from the south of Algeria, and I've grown up in Algiers, the capital. This is where I studied, and this is where I did my bachelor's. And then I went to Europe, studying mainly mathematics, physics, fundamentals, and then engineering, where I did a master of civil engineering, mechanical, electrical engineering, applied to civil engineering, and then a master of petroleum engineering. So you will not believe me, but before going to engineering study, I wanted to be a teacher of fundamentals.
Oh, so that is really surprising.
So I was really keen in mathematics, and until very far in my studies, I really was hesitating between an engineering path or more academic path, taking me towards more being a teacher at university for mathematics. Then I remember one friend of mine who I met after an internship that we did in the Algerian Sahara with Schlumberger. And this was at the end of the summer, and we were exchanging our summer experience, sharing pictures, and he showed me all of the nice pictures where he spends time in the drilling rig in Algeria in different fields. And this created a wow in my mind. And I just realized that this is exactly what I wanted to do.
So it was your Eureka.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then I did all what I can to join an oil and gas company, at least to do an internship, not paid, to discover the oil and gas industry and to really test whether this is really what I want or not. So I applied to plenty of companies, and I wanted to be really in the field. So I didn't want to be in the headquarters of this or this oil company. And at that time, there was this big discoveries in Birkin Basin. So I would say the top tier company in Algeria was another. So I applied and I've been accepted, and I did my first internship in Hasselberg when production was just starting. So it was just phase one. So 75,000 barrels a day. So this was just the beginning, and for me this was just an impactful experience, and this is how everything started.
Wow. Okay, so it was more like a leap of faith.
Exactly.
Just trying and attempting to experience something new that led to another.
Exactly.
Okay, so talking about the leap of faith and overcoming adversity, many of our students here at the University Center of Tbilisi come from a similar background, regional background to be specific, and sometimes they feel disconnected from major global hubs and areas. What were the most significant challenges that you faced early in your career, and what mindset, and I'd like to double align mindset, that helped you overcome those challenges or problems, if I may say?
So I would say that the first challenges was for me when I left Algeria to go to Europe. And in Algeria we had a very solid education, but I would say it was stronger on the theoretical part. That's why I was very keen in mathematics, and even in mathematics I was really keen on the, I would say, all the part that was very abstract, algebra, etc. And we were a bit behind Europe when it comes to, I would say,
transforming that into actual practice. And if I may go to another aspect of your leadership, as I said in the very beginning, we try to empower our students to not merely be observers and passive students where they only receive the knowledge, and become leaders, and future leaders of Algeria in particular. Could you tell me what was the hardest leadership lesson that you had learned when you started managing on an international level?
yeah, I think we always tend to be more attracted by people having the same background as us, the same mindset. So, especially as an engineer, you tend to be willing to be surrounded by people having similar mindset. And this is a big mistake.
Okay.
This is a big mistake. So one of the main advice I would give is really to be surrounded by different people, having different perspectives, different views on the problems, having a good self-awareness, knowing what you know and what you don't, and pick the people that will be complementary to you, helping you see things differently and filling the gap of your knowledge. This is, I would say, one of the main leadership challenges.
That's interesting, because a variety of mindsets would create a complete service.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really good. So we're gonna shift a little bit to attempting to bridge from academia to industry, and there is a gap in here. Because as we can see, as you've already mentioned, theory and practice. What universities are trying to achieve, especially in recent years, is how to create employable students or graduates, if I say, because they will be finishing the university, whether in bachelor, master's, or even in PhD. And we look for people who could, for instance, start their own startups, their own businesses, and they are entrepreneurs. So, as a person in the field of the employability world, there is what we call a skill deficit. And then here, as an academic, I often observe this gap between the theory that the university provides and some of the practice in the curricula, of course, and what demands of the workplace in general. So when Total Energies, for instance, recruits fresh graduates, what are the most critical skills, both on the technical and the soft skills, of course, and what would you often find as missing? Like, what is the missing part of the puzzle that needs to be implemented within the graduates?
That's a very good question, and it's a question that we always ask ourselves when we are in recruitment campaign, etc. And picking the right students, it's not an easy task, because we have to really be able to imagine how it will evolve, not in 1-2 years, and not in the specific job that you're taking him, but in 3, 4, 5 different steps and different jobs. So basically, it's almost how do you project this candidate within 10, 15 years in the journey. For sure, the fundamental knowledge is, I would say, a must. But it's not enough. It's the ability to learn. Sometimes it's even more important than really the knowledge of the fundamental. The communication skills are more and more important. Sometimes we have very good students, very smart, but not really able to communicate very well their ideas, the way they think, etc. Sometimes we have a student who is better in communication, who succeeds better than someone who's, I would say, having a stronger fundamental knowledge, but lack of communication skills. So, for sure, be good in the fundamentals.
That's
having a very good common sense also. That is more important than being super geek, knowing all the equations. It's just the common sense is very important. And after that, communication and also the ability to learn and to continuously challenge yourself.
That's really interesting. Continue challenging yourself. And I quote, it's really important for students, and I may call it a personal perspective, and I am sure that many of my colleagues, whether in academia or in the field of teaching or in the field of research, agree that it's always to be at least 2 levels up in terms of knowledge, so students are challenged. We do not lower the standards. We hire them up, we raise them up, so students can pick up into the challenge and not just be on the same pace. My next question is, how can Algerian universities, specifically in our institution, the University Center of Ability, better align with multi-institutional companies? What kind of academic industry partnership would you like to see more of?
It's a very good question. So, the University Center of EDZ has a big strength. It's its position. It's probably, with the University of Forgla, I would say the 2 universities that are the closest to operation. Talking about the university. And the University Center of EDZ needs to capitalize on this proximity. So, there should be no distance between your classroom and the different fields that are surrounding them. All the students needs in their path to at least have visited each or at least one of the sites that are surrounding you. Yesterday I had a chance to spend some time with your students, especially the ones working on the artificial intelligence lab, with nice solutions that they need to test these solutions with the field on the ground. They need to go to TFT, to go to Inarenas, to go to all the smart track fields and bring their solutions and test them. We had a student yesterday who presented one of her discovery, which was our invention, which was related to Internet of Things, with cameras in order to improve the road safety, especially with regards to the collision with the cars that you don't see in the night. And also applicable to the real life on field on ground.
So taking the actual projects and putting them on the ground and creating something really concrete rather than abstract would make the project more successful. And what's unfortunate, and we have been observing as we've discussed yesterday and also today, we've talked about the fact that students are very excited in the beginning about starting their own startup, starting their own projects, and at the very end, when they are done with the university degree and they've got it, they start thinking about, okay, what company, what directory do I want to go in? And this is the issue that we have. So this is why I spoke earlier about the mindset in particular, because the shift in here is not merely on pushing students to go outside, but actually changing their mindset in the very beginning. So as we are closing, I have very hard questions for you by the end, and they will be directed to the students. It's going to be actionable takeaways that you would give to people, to individuals, to students, and so on and so forth. So the very first is advice to your younger self. If you could travel back in time and give one piece of advice to your younger self when you were just a university student, what would it be?
It's a very hard question. I would say probably in the way of learning. Each theoretical thing that you are learning in physics, mathematics, chemistry, trying to really go beyond the theory and to really question the applicability of this equation, the applicability of this theory, and this makes learning more exciting. We're doing it in some areas that are obvious, but not in all the areas. But if we do ask ourselves this question for mathematics and physics, learning will be easier, and we'll be able to dig deeper in everything that we learn.
That's a really good advice. So for students sitting in the audience today and listening to the podcast, dreaming of reaching the leadership role, not in particular as yours, but any kind of leadership role in an international corporation, in politics, in an institution, and so on and so forth. What is the very first step they should take tomorrow morning? If they are to wake up tomorrow morning, step number one.
I would say, question yourself on what you really want. You need to pick a job that you are passionate about. It's not always easy to have the answer to this question, and it's not a failure to go on a path for 3, 5, 10 years and then realize that your passion is elsewhere, and then don't hesitate to change it. Life is short, life is super short, so make sure that whatever you do, you are really passionate about it, because this is where you will excel.
That's a very good, on point kind of answer. So the next question is going to be very complicated in some sort. In our institution at the University Center of the and other universities around Algeria, we have this common stereotypical idea about having a diploma, but there is also a debate about having a true competency. How many students fall into this, let's call it a trap, of believing that simply obtaining a university diploma guarantees successful career, successful job opportunities? In your experience leading an international team, what is the fundamental difference between candidates who just have a degree and one who is truly educated and ready for the world outside the university?
Good question. So, for me, the diploma is just a gate opener. The diploma helps you to open certain gates, because in fact, in all the companies, whether private, public, in the administration, there's a barrier, which is the initial barrier where it requires you to have this qualification. After that, what's more important, it's really, again, I will come back to the ability to learn. 24 years ago, when I started oil and gas, I think no one was talking about artificial intelligence. Today, it is everywhere in our day-to-day job.
Exactly.
So the ability to do your job differently, to learn, to be eager to learn. So we always value more on a new student to hire the ability to learn rather than the academic path that this person has. This is important.
That's a really good answer, and it fits exactly the question criteria in terms of you need to have more competencies and to be able to learn more every time. I always like to tell my students to be hungry, be thirsty for the knowledge, and not just the knowledge as I always have this term of banking information. I tell them, you're not a bank, I'm not going to deposit the information into you, so make this information workable. So it's the same thing. Them being able to learn something is particularly what we're looking for to achieve as university educator or any educator around the globe, and particularly in Algeria. So as we come to the conclusion of our questions, I have one last question, and I'd like it to be directly oriented towards the students here in EDC and in Algeria in particular. If you could ask students, and I'd like to comment, you've kept saying question, and it fits exactly the context. So if you could ask students listening to this podcast to go home tonight and ask themselves one difficult question about their current study habits, their goals, their work ethics, what would that question be?
Why not me? For me, I mean, all the students have the ability to go, I mean, the limit is the sky. So they need to do, there's so many success stories around the world. People coming from what we would call remote areas, maybe not connected, but today all the world is connected. Today, I mean, we are all traveling through our screens, through